We're playing a game of deal or no deal to kick off trending in the AM today. Will you do the deal or will you not? Will Howie do the deal or will Howie not? And on a lot of different players. I don't really know. Trending in the AM, talking Eagles, the trade rumors, and the offseason rumors that are in front of us. Coach, so much more. Sixers play tonight, Phillies, you name it. Trending in the AM, we're live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome one, welcome all. Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live, YouTube and Twitter. You know the drill every day. Please, whether you're watching this live or on replay later, hit that like button. It's free to do. Hit that share button. Subscribe to the STT Sports Network YouTube page. And always, 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 when you're watching live, vote on our poll question of the day. Today's poll question: which is more likely to happen? The Eagles trade away A.J. Brown or the Eagles trade for Maxx Crosby? And we're going to play a little game of deal or no deal. Yes, I'm going really back to a really relevant reference with that title, with that kickoff, right? Howie Roseman has gotten us prepared for a very conservative offseason, right? We talked about it on the show yesterday. His goal is to draft, develop, re-sign, right? And then somebody dropped the nugget yesterday. Maybe it was Duck. I forget who. That maybe he's playing us. Maybe he's playing the league. So he can swoop in and make some aggressive moves that we do not see coming. Obviously, the A.J. Brown trade rumors will continue to circulate until the end of time. Basically, right? But there's Maxx Crosby. I suggest more Jomo, Nolan Smith. There are so many names out there. Some deals could be made. And here's the thing with wheeling and dealing. Howie is not afraid to swing for the fences on a big, bold trade. But also, you know, that might be his move. So let's get into the comments. There's a lot of comments rolling in. Thank you, Adam. I see this already. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Means a lot to me right there. Always, always, always. We got a bunch of comments from Duck here right off the bat, but this is going more towards yesterday's comments about Jared Johnson being the newest coach on the offensive ranks for the Eagles. Good morning, Phil. So I have a theory on why we have brought on almost everyone we interviewed for the OC position. Sirianni is sick of hearing all these other head coach McVay and have these great offensive mind. He's trying to develop the playbook and schemes. He's basically going to use these guys to create his own coaching tree. This is an ego move. See, I disagree with all this, Duck. I think this is very simple. All these moves, coaching-wise, that Howie Roseman's making, I think it's great. Howie Roseman sat back last year and saw an uber-talented offense be one of the worst in all of football and is bringing as many fresh eyes and ears and voices into the coaching room. They all want to be offensive coordinators and head coaches at some point. They are checking their egos at the door to bring back relevance to the Eagles offense. So I don't think it's any of those things. I think it's Nick Sirianni saying that he's got to be a better head coach. And by being a better head coach, bringing a better offensive staff. So I love the Jared Johnson hiring. I really do. What's up, Jimbo? AJ will be traded. Now, here's the thing. I'm not believing that he will be traded. I think it's just too much. I think the writing's on the wall. The reports yesterday are that the Eagles and Howie Roseman are being selfish and unreasonable in trade discussions with other teams, wanting a first-round pick and another top 100 pick. So a first and a third is their starting point for an AJ trade. First and foremost. That's not being selfish. That's being smart. You got an all-pro elite wide receiver. You want the world for him, right? 2, you got a huge dead cap hit coming, so you better get max value. So here's the thing, though, and because of that selfishness or unreasonableness, as people are reporting on Howie Roseman, what if the rumors that Maxx Crosby is still linked to the Eagles in a trade is that A.J. Brown for Maxx Crosby either both get traded 1-2 and 1 away from the Eagles or get involved in the same trade? You trade A.J. Brown and you use the return from A.J. Brown to get Maxx Crosby. Or what if after you trade A.J. Brown, now you've got the ammo to go get a deal done for Maxx Crosby? So I think it's something to think about there. I think Maxx Crosby and A.J. Brown will be linked at some point in a conversation this offseason. What's up, Adam? Good morning. Flyers win again, only 6 points out. They're going to try. They're going to try to once I thought I was out, Adam, they pull me back in. Yes. Great Flyers win. I don't think either is going to happen. Our cap doesn't have Crosby room and still sign out homegrown. AJ's price is steep if rumors are correct. Yeah, look, I think you can make Crosby work. From what I heard, if a trade happens, some things happen with the salary cap numbers, and you can readjust it. I've got his contract up here. Eagles Eric, who's on the Eagles pin polls, really knows his contracts. Had some easy numbers if you went and got Maxx Crosby, but on over the cap or spot track, it looks like a big cap hit. So maybe there's something to it with a trade that I don't understand. Good morning, Robert. How you doing? Both can be true. This is Sirianni's ego move. He wants to be known as an offensive mind, too. I don't think Howie Roseman or Nick Sirianni made any of these moves, coaching-wise. I don't think he did because of his ego. If anything, it's to protect his job, which I guess that could be ego-related. Seems like this staff is rounding out to be an excellent staff. Rick, I agree. I think there are a lot of people talking about too many cooks in the kitchen. I understand that reference. I just don't think this scenario applies to that. I look at this way. If someone wants AJ bad enough, a.k.a. Patriots, and you need to pay for him, if we can't get it, then he stays. Simple as that. Don't give him up for Jack. Exactly. And that's the thing. This offseason is going to be wild in the NFL. We're already seeing it be wild. And A.J. Brown, if you want an elite wide receiver, you're not getting him for peanuts. You're going to have to get almost a Devontae Adams level package if you want him. I was looking through all the trades of wide receivers, and so many wide receivers went for so much and so little. I looked back at like 2019. Mohamed Sanu went for like a second and a third round pick. Mohamed Sanu is nowhere near at his peak on the level of A.J. Brown at his weakest. Mr. Positive Vibes is back. I couldn't do the negative vibes thing. Just don't suit me. Good. Going to sneak into the playoffs. They might. They're trending in that direction, Rick. And every time I tell myself, yeah, I don't have the energy and time for the Flyers, I get a message from Jimbo or Adam, and I'm like, damn it, I better turn those Flyers back on. Good morning, Elephant. What's up? I agree. Staff will be excellent. It's like Manhattan Project of offensive minds. It is. And I think it really comes down to the simple fact that Nick Sirianni doesn't want, maybe he wants to be known as an offensive mind, but he wants to be known as a successful coach with a successful offense. He knows that Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie want that offense humming. He did a crappy-ass job. Change strains, what? What's do you think the likelihood is of Phillips, Blankenship, and Dean coming back? All different. Dean, I think, is as good as gone, per rumors that I've gotten DM to me, that it's almost good as gone to Dallas. Still could happen, who knows? Blankenship, I'm teetering on the fence with. The Jalen Phillips one's weird to me. If you believe the Eagles are in on Maxx Crosby, then you got to believe they're in on Jalen Phillips too, right? I know they don't have the money to pay Jalen Phillips. And you got Nolan Smith and you've got Jalix Hunt. But if you're going to trade a first-round pick and something else for Maxx Crosby and say theoretically you lose out on that deal, then you got to think if they're willing to pay $30-some million to Maxx Crosby, you got to think they're willing to pay 20-25 to Phillips, right? So maybe one of those crazy trades that Howie might pull off is a Nolan Smith trade to free up the space and the money for Jalen Phillips. I don't know. But I would say Blankenship's most likely to come back. Phillips is second most likely. Dean would be third most likely in that group there that you put up. I hear Blank and Dean already wearing the star. Definitely Dean. I don't know about Blank. In a perfect world, trade him to Carolina for T-Mac. Look, in a perfect world, you trade A.J. Brown to the worst team possible, just as a punishment, so we don't do whatever. But no, you go to who's got the best return, right? And I think it's crazy that people are reporting that Howie Roseman is being selfish and unreasonable in A.J. Brown trade talks. Like, do you want him to just roll over and say, here you go, give me a 7th-round pick? That's cool. Any GM or reporter that thinks Nick Sirianni is being selfish and unreasonable are just jealous, are just annoyed. Like, I don't understand that. If you had to pick between Phillips or Dean coming back, who would you choose? If money was no option, Jalen Phillips. But knowing the whole grand scheme, if I had a pick, I would take Nakobe Dean because I know Phillips financially is not likely. But yeah, I mean, if money, and just all things equal, Phillips would be a more important return than Nakobe Dean, in my opinion. If they want Crosby, they will probably have to have AJ in a package deal and top picks. Yeah, like you could do in theory, an AJ for Maxx Crosby trade. Maybe we give them a 3rd with AJ. Maybe they send us back a 6 with Maxx Crosby, something like that. Maybe. Or you trade AJ, you get a 1st and a 3rd for AJ, which is the unreasonable thing that they say he's asking for, and then you use that 1st and 3rd in a separate deal for Crosby. It's possible. More likely Phillips or Crosby. I think more likely is Bradley Chubb. But out of those two names, I would say Jalen Phillips would be more likely to be on the Eagles in 2026. I mean, we're talking Maxx Crosby. The reports are that Maxx Crosby in trade talks is being talked about very similar to A.J. Brown. If you don't blow me away with an offer, we're not trading him. The Raiders GM is playing Howie Roseman hardball right now on Maxx Crosby. You think the rumors are true that Goedert is on his way out? Yes, Matthew Berry, fantasy football expert, NBC Sports Sunday Night Football guy, says Dallas Goedert is basically good as gone. That breaks my heart because I still hold on hope that we bring him back. If you lose him, you've got that $20.5 million dead cap hit. It sucks. It is what it is, Adam. Not surprising. I would be leaning like 65, 70% likely Goedert is gone. There are cheap options probably when they get cut. You like a TJ Hawkinson or a Dawson Knox. You're going to draft somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round. It's just the way it's going to be. It's really pointless to talk about all these trades if the O-line is leaning towards decline before your very eyes. Seriously, all of it would be pointless. I agree. Now, we are at least in a point right now, Noobs. Well, at the very least, we have to hope that they're not declining, that they're going to get right? Because we know they're all coming back. We are going to have the same starting 5 offensive linemen next year as we did this year. Now, yes, if they are in a decline and never going to even level out, we are in trouble, obviously. And that's why we've got to figure out creativity with trades, right? And with free agency. So it is all point. There is a point to it all. Because the draft, the elite draft picks, the 1st round, the 2nd round, 3rd round, 2 of them have to be offensive linemen. A tackle and a guard, a tackle and a center guard hybrid have to be. Because you need those young linemen if these guys are declining before our eyes. So that we're not going into next season with as many issues, right? So they are linked together. He's known as the dumbest head coach to win a Super Bowl recently. Media kneels and pleasure start. What? I mean, he was given a grade of an A by his players on the Eagles report card as well. What's up, Jonathan? Poll answers Eagles likely AJ would happen before a Maxx trade or signing. Kind of feel like both could happen at the exact same time because I think for one to happen, the other has to happen, right? To have the capital to get one, you got to trade the other. Problem is, we're not trading AJ before June 1st. So can the Maxx Crosby situation be dragged out that long? Now, on the flip side of that, can you go into the draft knowing maybe we've got these deals done? Howie being unreasonable because he doesn't want to hand Brown over to Pats for basically nothing. Keon Coleman devalues any pick that's alongside him in a trade. Look, I don't think Howie's being unreasonable. Howie knows there's about 2 or 3 teams that A, have the need for A.J. Brown, but B, have the ability to make the move. He knows what's going on, right? He knows that these guys want him. He knows that there's probably something to whether A.J. is asked her out or not. So he knows. You've got an asset. You've got demand for that asset. Why wouldn't you ask for the world? I don't know if the offensive line is DEFCON 2, 3, or 4, and it really hamstrings the entire offseason plan. It does in the draft. I don't think it does in free agency or trades. You need to use that draft capital for your offensive line. I find the Goedert rumor hard to believe as signing him saves us money. I agree. There's other ways to save money. You cut Michael Carter, the slot corner we traded for, it saves you $9 million, gets you up to like 22.5, right? There are other ways to save money, Rick. But I'm with you. I think keeping him makes a point there to save a lot of money. The needs there defines how we deal with all other positions. Is it possible Barry is being fed misinformation? It's obviously. Every reporter that feeds information out to the media or to the public, every media member that feeds information to the public gets it from somebody on the inside, right? So someone on the Eagles fed him that information. Most of the time they feed legit information. Otherwise, you would trust that source less, right? Sometimes they're fed information, said, yo, leak this for me, please. Then I'll give you something good and real later. There's always that. That's just another level of the game. We lose Goddard, draft Sadiq, and sign a veteran. That kid would be a stud. Look, they've met with, from my reports that I read, they met with more tight ends at the Combine in this offseason, the Combine in the Senior Bowl, met with more tight ends than any position outside the offensive line. It's offensive line tight end. But they have not yet met with Sadiq. They met with a crap ton of other tight ends. Use that with what you will. But to me, when Dawson Knox or T.J. Hawkinson gets cut, you sign one of those cheaply. Then you draft somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round, not Sadiq. Hell, maybe even bring back Zach Ertz as a 3rd, but only as a 3rd. Depends on the price and length. There is a point of diminishing return. Absolutely. With all these coach changes, the offensive line will be better. We hope so. Robert, there is concerns on Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson's injuries and Cam Jurgens. Maybe not getting worse, but not getting better. I do worry about it, right? They were pretty bad last year. But it wasn't because they were bad. They were bad because they were hurt. And that's the problem there. That's the big issue for me. Player polls are about likability, not about effectiveness. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know. We haven't really gotten into the player poll or player votes or grades. That's really interesting, some of that. Guys, if you haven't hit the like button, it's free to do. Subscribe, share. I'm here, content check, and NFL moves, trends. Yes. Caleb, what? NBA score. Eagles play tonight. What's up, Joe Castro? AJ isn't being traded. We aren't trading for Maxx Crosby. Okay? I mean, I agree. I don't think we will do either of these, right? A.J. Brown, Maxx Crosby are big, bold moves. And Howie Roseman has said countless times behind a microphone, we are not going to have a big offseason. It's going to be quiet. It's going to be draft, develop, re-sign. They were his 3 words. I'm just going to keep using them over and over again, right? But what if? What if Howie is throwing a curveball out there to kind of sneak in and make a big, bold move? Because despite logical thinking, me, you, some of the other people, that these aren't going to happen, Joe, despite that, we don't know. The rumors are still out there. These rumors are coming from somewhere. Some of them are clickbait, but some of them are legit rumors from trustworthy sources. I can live with my ALOT having an off year, but even he is going to be 29. Hopefully he has that 6 years left, but that's no guarantee. I mean, look, not too worried about my ALOT at his age. I'm not. My biggest concern isn't even Lane Johnson. My biggest concern is Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson because of their age and where their contracts are. I think we are all checked out on this. Yeah, we've all checked out for sure. Romeo Dobbs, a possibility for the Eagles to sign as a – yeah. I've heard a lot of rumors with him. I don't know if the Eagles can make a decision on wide receiver 3 so they know what they're doing with A.J. Brown. You know, there was a report in that same Matthew Berry article that said Dallas Goedert is as good as gone. The Eagles were also linked with Mike Evans, right? To be A.J. Brown's if they moved on from A.J. Brown, Mike Evans would be a candidate to be his replacement. We just don't know. Until we know for sure about A.J. Brown, the rest of the wide receiver room is kind of in flux. Yeah, Dobbs would be an okay slot guy to be number 3 on this team. Absolutely. A little familiarity with Sean Mannion? Great. And I know everybody's saying it. Look, I'm not against even, Jahan Dotson coming back. He probably won't come back. He doesn't have much of a market, but he's going to want to go somewhere where he's going to have a better chance to play. But at least there's a reputation here in that locker room. Maybe Dotson stays. Who knows? Tight end is included in my O-line conversation as well. Look, I hear you. Tight end is a huge question mark. But it's also a huge question mark that it doesn't seem like they're going to spend big money or big assets on. This good year for core to BGMs. What? Yeah, I mean, obviously the Sixers, Rick, are probably going to make the playoffs. They are in the 6th seat. They are up 7 games on the Bucks, who are the 11th spot in the conference. 7 games up with 20 to play or 21 to play. They're going to lose tonight, the Sixers, to the Spurs. No Joel Embiid. The Spurs are one of the 3 best teams in basketball. Maybe the 2nd best team in basketball. Yeah, but they're still going to make the playoffs. They might fall to the 8th seed and have to play in the play-in tournament. But yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. That there's no doubt about that. Don't know. Out on the NBA in general. I'm out too. Dawson Knox is very good. I want him for you. Just don't overpay. Look, there are plenty of reports that Dawson Knox and TJ Hawkinson are both on Howie's radar if they lose out on Dallas Goedert, to be a Dallas Goedert replacement, to pair with a young drafted tight end. And I guess Dawson Knox I'd probably take over Hawkinson. Hawkinson's kind of been injured and stuff, but yeah. If someone told you after the Super Bowl win that Steen would have the best outlook, what would you have said? I would have said, you're crazy. Now, I'm not as down on Tyler Steen as others are. But the fact that he's the youngest, the most healthiest, and most consistent in 2025, that's scary. Because you're not banking. The problem with the offensive line going forward is you're not banking on one guy. It really hinges if one guy gets healthy and returns to form. You're asking for 3 guys to get healthy and return to form, and a 4th one to kind of stop his regression. It's not as simple. One guy, we got to make sure we have a backup in case not. No, it's 3, 4 guys, and it's crazy. And them playing through that Super Bowl might have cost them their career to an extent. Howie's a genius. He knows how to play the game. It's time. I can just see Howie Roseman getting the lights, getting a bottle of water, taking a sip of music, time to play the game, and get up on the apron doing the Triple H spit water pose. That would actually be pretty hilarious right there, honestly. What's up, Little G? Good morning to you. Guys, please, if you haven't, hit the like button. It's free to do. We should have like 20. There should be at least 18 likes right now. A.J. Brown is not going anywhere. Again, the odds are that is accurate. But there are odds that say that it's not accurate. Sixers need to sign Buck Williams as a rebounding coach. This Paul George suspension is starting to take its toll. Look, but don't worry about Paul George and his suspension. He's doing laps around the practice facility, keeping his cardio up. Everyone getting so excited about that. Dobbs, a possibility he signs with Steelers familiar with McCarthy. That is also true. Dobbs is going to have a market in the second level of free agency on the cheaper end of wide receivers. Howie might pull off a big trade involving A.J. Brown during the draft. I doubt it. Again, trading him before June 1st, Adam, means you have to take the full $40 million in dead cap this year, which you're already up against it, right? You trade him post June 1st, it gets split over 2 years, makes it a little bit more manageable, right? Any chance the Spurs? I have not looked at what the Spurs are doing at all. Have they played 4 games in 5 days? Are you being sarcastic, or you really asking that question? Because I don't know. This is the weakest position Eagles have been in since I started watching this fine program. I don't know. I'll ask the question to the crowd, to the peanut gallery. Are we in a worse spot this offseason than we were after the 2023 season, entering the 2024 season? I think we are in a worse position now than we were then because of guys' injuries, because of guys' ages and whatnot. I think Howie Roseman's up against it financially a little bit more this offseason than the 2024 offseason. So, this might be this is the weakest we are because, like, even 2020 going into 2021, coming off our worst season in a while, our only playoff miss in a while, right? Change with a head coach, but there was a lot more money available and a lot more younger players to deal with. Yeah, this might be the worst spot, the toughest offseason, the weakest position the Eagles have been in a while. Yes, the Sixers are definitely a scheduled loss tonight. No doubt about that whatsoever. Schedule loss 100%. Keeping A.J. Brown for his ability is great, but for his attitude to pat his stats is not good, and will continue negative talk. No more of that is needed. Look, I get it. Only downside to what you're saying is that you don't understand that all wide receivers want their stats. It's a diva-filled position, plain and simple. Can we afford to open up another position in need by trade? This has been one of my number one points on not trading A.J. Brown. It's that you make wide receiver a massive need now, right? You need to draft a wide receiver in round 2 or 3 if you're trading A.J. Brown. And I always hate that. I'll harken back to when Kelsey retired and we moved Cam Jurgens from guard over to center. Like, you just created a hole at right guard. Now, I didn't know Mekhi Becton was going to come out of nowhere or Tyler Steen was going to fill in admirably. But I'm sitting there thinking, you're making a hole at right guard to fill the hole at center. And that always bothers me. You never create a hole. You never fix a hole by creating another hole. And occasionally, I dip into that. Can you even remember a time when the Eagles tight end position didn't have someone waiting? Absolutely. We've literally gone from one great tight end to the next, right? We've always had the next guy being groomed. This really goes down to Grant Calcaterra being a failure, being a bust of a draft pick. They thought they had Dallas Goedert replacement 2 years ago in Grant Calcaterra. The problem is they didn't move on from him soon enough. But it's spot on. They've always had from one guy to the next, Selleck to Ertz to Goddard. They've always been prepared there. The O-line has officially hit Wee's kids territory. Yeah, it's not pleasant, you know. What about Johan Rojas? He got suspended for the World Baseball Classic. It turns out, it seems like reports are that Johan Rojas got caught smoking weed. Now there's more reports coming out that he didn't fail anything, that he has a personal family thing to attend to. I don't know. Till we get the details, straight from the horse's mouth, I'm not speculating on it. Laurie should be invested in snagging Sadiq round one. He is a must-have. Look, I get it. I know Eagles fans are all in on drafting Sadiq in the first round. I would be shocked. Two things. One, if Howie Roseman uses a first-round pick on a tight end, not an offensive lineman. And then two, if Sadiq falls to 23. Right? Both those things would shock me. Now, one thing that would not shock me with Howie Roseman in the first round of the draft is if he trades up in the draft. Right? If there's a guy he really wants, offensive line for Lane's replacement, some other position, edge, D tackle, wide receiver, tight end, if he really wants Sadiq, it would not shock me if Howie Roseman moves up. Not big time, but if he swings a move to move up to 15 or 16, he very well could do that. That would be less shocking than any other trade. It's funny. It is. I'm going to say 98 Lewis was here, but we had no idea how well he would develop. Yeah, I guess so. Chad Lewis was a good player. He really was. Not great, but good. Guys, hit that like button, please. It's free to do. Must have. I knew what you mean. It better be just weed, because if it is PED, then maybe they should. Yeah, look, the Phillies would, if it's PEDs, it would be Rojas, Kepler, and Alvarado all in the span of like a year. It's crazy. AJ isn't going anywhere, not because everyone made up and they're in love again. They can't afford to unload him. Well, where there's a will, there's a way. But yes, it is very unlikely. What's up, David? We got a book from David. Love you, buddy. AJ is a team captain, voted on by players. He is not viewed as a team cancer. Team captain and cap. Nobody in the locker room views him the way some fans perceive him. His message about the offense was never wrong. You could dislike the method he went about discussing it, but he wasn't wrong. It was not sustainable, and it became worse. Look, nothing you said here is wrong. And I have pounced on the A.J. Brown as a team captain thing for in the middle of the season when the drama started, right? I've been pouncing on that topic nonstop, right? It still doesn't mean he won't get moved. It doesn't help the argument that he definitely will get moved. But it's not a lock one way or another. You think they keep Tanner McKee in the offseason? I think that there's going to be a lot of conversations with quite a few teams on Tanner McKee. I do. I said it yesterday. I mean, when you're talking Malik Willis getting $35 million a year, when you're talking Kyler Murray as a huge target for teams this offseason, Tanner McKee on a rookie deal for a second or a third round draft pick, that's a pretty solid plan there for some teams. So yes, McKee will have a market. McKee will have value. It's will teams. Again, I am not trading Tanner McKee for a third round or a fourth round pick in this year's draft. If you want Tanner McKee, you got to offer me a conditional pick in 2027. I want you to let him play and see what he's got. Give me a third in 2027 that could become a second if he plays well. But then, again, you trade Tanner McKee, you create a hole at quarterback too. So now you've got to draft a quarterback and sign a quarterback, right? Kyle McCord's gone. He's on some other team's practice squad now. Sam Howell's a free agent. You've got to go get a backup quarterback and draft one when you trade Tanner McKee. So the value on Tanner McKee is still a second/third round with compensation of some kind. But I have no problem with trading Tanner McKee. You just got to understand it creates another hole. Guys, keep hitting. We got 23 people watching. Hit the like button if you have not. NFL should have where other teams can eat dead cap on trades. What? What's up, Bruce? Good morning. Good morning, Mitchie Poe. How you doing this morning? Question for chat. How hard will you take it if Brown gets moved? Depends on the return. If we get a first and a third for him, I'm okay with it. What's up, Mitch? McKee, 100% gone. It's not 100%. it's higher likelihood than A.J. Brown or Maxx Crosby. All sports teams should be able to spend. Then you get stuck in the baseball situation. But yeah, I agree. I agree to an extent. Tom Wilson is greater than, yeah. Look, there's a lot of people. I would rather have the argument who's greater, Anthony Richardson or Malik Willis. There's going to be a team that overpays Malik Willis. There's a great chance it bombs. It backfires big time. Like, there really is that situation. I think the quarterback market this offseason, I mean, you've got guys that are proven losers like Kyler Murray and Tua. You got Anthony Richardson, Malik Willis, guys that never lived up to hype. You got Kirk Cousins, the guy that's made more money than every quarterback in the history of football and is average at best. And then you got Tanner McKee. It is going to be a crazy amount of moving parts. And on top of those names, outside of Mendoza, the first overall pick, like, there's no other quarterbacks to draft, right? The draft group at quarterback is brutal, right? So, I mean, maybe somebody might reach for Ty Simpson in the second round. Garrett Nussmeier, you're not excited about him, or Carson Beck, right? Like, the quarterback market and what happens with Tanner McKee, this is like the perfect offseason to have something like the Tanner McKee situation, available right now. What is up, K1? Bazootin' Hoot Tuesday to you. Make sure you tune in live tonight, 6 p.m. Fairway to Heaven. We break down the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I am locked in, K1, and loaded on who's winning the API this week. Find out who tonight, live, 6 p.m. Jason, Steven, and I breaking down the event fully for you. It depends on where AJ goes for me and what we get. It will be insanely upset if he goes to the Pats and we don't get it. Exactly. If Howie Roseman trades him to the Pats for a second or a third round pick that could become a second, just theoretically, right? Third round pick that becomes a second, and it goes to the Pats, I'm going to cry. We're like, Howie, you lost your touch. Now, if he goes somewhere, anywhere, I don't care if it's the Pats, and we get a first and a third, I'm okay with it. It's all it comes down to. Does the NFC East play the Indiana Bears this coming season? I don't remember. I don't remember who we play. But practice squad of the Packers, McCourt. Gosh, I knew it was an NFC North team. I thought it was the Vikings, Packers. That does make sense. That's right. It would be very hard or difficult for Howie to convince the Eagles locker room, which loves A.J. Brown, the team is better without him. Sell me on. I agree. I believe this very, very, very much. Even Jalen Hurts. As much as people talk about Jalen Hurts and A.J. not on the same page, doesn't mean they can't be. It doesn't mean they're not, right, anymore. Doesn't mean they haven't fixed it. Go back. Listen to when Jason Kelce, during the season, was on Monday Night Football or whatever, and he was talking about early in his career his relationship with Lane Johnson when they had a similar spat that A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts supposedly had, right? They didn't talk for a whole season and off season. Then they made up, and they're back to being best friends for the rest of their life. They could have easily moved off of Jason Kelce at that point, right? They could have split up the problems. They didn't. And guess what? It all worked out in the end. You don't trade team captains. You don't trade team leaders unless you get blown away. And that is why the reports are that Howie Roseman's being selfish and unreasonable with his requests, right? You think Jerry Jones would try to get? No. Even Jerry Jones doesn't have the ability. Jerry franchise tagging Pickens. You already got a CD on a big deal. Dak's big deal. Yeah, I mean, sure, he would try. But, yeah, no, he doesn't even have the ability to make that trade. Look at Phil knowing college quarterbacks. Sometimes I can impress some people, right? Jerry Jones is not that dumb. Jerry Jones is, long live Jerry Jones. It's not that he's not crazy. He just physically can't. Root Willis, he went to Liberty. Yeah. I believe Smitty would be pretty close to a non-factor in the playoffs without A.J. Brown. Maybe have a few rub catches. But, yeah, look, this is not to disparage or talk down on Devontae Smith. It's not, right? Devontae Smith is an elite wide receiver, top 20 wide receiver in football, maybe top 15. But you take A.J. Brown off this team, what does that do to Devontae Smith, right? What does that do to his success? How will Devontae Smith succeed without A.J.? Who was it? Like, even Devontae Smith's success even in college at Bama, that came with who? Was it CeeDee Lamb opposite? There was another first-round wide receiver opposite of him at Alabama. Was it CeeDee Lamb? I don't think it was CeeDee Lamb. Whoever it was. But, yeah, no A.J. Brown changes the whole offense. Makes Jalen's jobs harder, Devontae's job harder, makes Saquon's job harder. I trust Alex Jones. I don't even know who he is, but, yeah. Was it Jalen Waddle opposite of him? It might have been Jalen Waddle. That does actually make a little sense. But another elite first-round wide receiver, right? I'm not saying he's elite in the NFL now, Jalen Waddle, but, you know, coming out of college and in his college career, he was elite. He was a first-round pick as well, I believe. So Devontae Smith has always had that elite opposite guy of him. So who's to know what his success level would even be without A.J. Brown? So again, to David's point, yes, this A.J. Brown situation is very hard to fathom because you're not trading a captain. You're not giving away one of the best players in football. You're going to create another hole, not just on the field, but in the locker room. Who's going to step up? Can Devontae Smith step up and be the leader in the locker room A.J. Brown is? I don't know. He did seem to show a little bit more growth in the vocalness, Devontae Smith. But, man, look, again, I'm not trying to say nothing's going to happen, that A.J. Brown is definitely not getting traded. There's going to be a lot of rumors. Literally, there'll still be rumors as training camp opens up. Like, I guarantee you, when training camp opens, whatever day in July that is, A.J. Brown's still on the roster. There will still be talk. Because the first question that A.J. is going to get when he walks out on that practice field, how are you and Jalen holding up together? He still runs very good routes, could find a soft spot in the zone, and could get open in single-man coverage, but only a fool would let that coverage happen. Again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Devontae Smith, right? He's still a great route runner. He's still high points the ball well. He's got really strong hands. He takes contact well. He puts effort into blocking. He's not a great blocker, but he puts a lot of effort into it. Not trying to take it away. But just theoretically speaking, if Devontae Smith, just say, is the 15th best wide receiver in football right now, right? Just say. You can use whatever number you want. Take A.J. Brown away. Does he become the 10th best wide receiver in football or the 20th best wide receiver in football? Or does he stay at 15? I think he's more likely to slip outside the top 15 than into the top 15 without A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith without A.J. Brown isn't going to instantly become a top 5 guy in football. They need each other. He would make a better GM than Jerry. Yep, sorry. Got to make the money. They should and need to unload Embiid there. I said it. Look, you're not stirring anything up, Vasok. I'm telling you, I said it yesterday. I have a very high likelihood and feeling that after this season, there are going to be a lot of rumors that Joel Embiid is asking out of Philly. I am. And I don't want to talk Sixers. I'm over the Sixers. I still watch them carefree. No expectations, but honestly, it's just a chore. Joel Embiid is going to ask out. They're not going to unload him. It's going to be very difficult to unload him. You're going to have to convince somebody to take a chance. You're not going to get much. But yes, Joel Embiid's got to go. Who cares about McKee? He stinks. I mean, maybe. But there's no good quarterbacks available is the real point. Leave Tanner alone. It's not that Tanner stinks or doesn't stink. I think whether Tanner McKee stinks or doesn't stink is a moot point right now. It's this is the perfect offseason for average or mid quarterbacks to get paid. It is. There's not one big name quarterback with a real success that's available. I have no idea who Alex Jones even is off the top of my mind. But the teams will give him a try. Yeah. Despite all these issues, Kenny Gainwell was still top 3 losses. I mean, hey. You're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong. You know, interesting enough, the Eagles did meet with several running backs in that, not round 7 groupings, like the rounds 4, 5, like projections. Are the Eagles looking for another running back? It's interesting. Obviously, Tank will be back to back up Saquon. You still got Will Shipley. Will Shipley be going into year 3? They might be looking to add another running back in the draft this year. What happens first? UFO government disclosure, Eagles make the playoffs. Both could happen very soon. If you don't have Hurts, it's over. That's obviously the truth. And anybody, yeah, exactly. The backup quarterback matters. But in reality, the backup quarterback only matters in a small window. If you're trying to stay afloat for 2 to 3 weeks, no matter what team you are, the backup quarter matters. But if you need a backup quarterback to win you 10, 12 games, it's over. He's played well enough to be traded. Maybe not a lot, but can be traded. Yeah, and I think this most latest injury is more because of a tough hit he took, not anything with his knees or anything like that. So, yeah, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Paid paradise, put it up. Oh, hold on. How's it go? You don't know what you got till it's gone. Paid paradise, put up a parking lot. The only time Embiid smiles is when he's sitting. Have you ever noticed that? That's not true. He smiles a little bit more than that. Only when the going gets tough does he stop smiling. Good, I'm glad. Kenny Gainwell was the heart of that. Look, Saquon Barkley better with than without or Kenny Gainwell on the field. Phil, since that knucklehead literally is top, what? Kenny G was the straw that stirred the drink. He was. Top trend and news story. I press X to doubt. You don't know who he is. What? Chase Daniels had a 14-year career as well. Paid backup. Yeah, Chase Daniels got paid well because of one week 8-17 game. And so did what's the dude? Who's the dude from the Packers? Well, I always confuse Chase Daniels and one other, but both had really good one game runs that got paid. Lions got rid of David Montgomery yesterday. Yes, they split up their running back duo to the Texans. Kind of find that interesting. You have one of the best running attacks in football. You get rid of your bruiser. Now there's going to be a lot more on Jahmyr Gibbs. Not saying Jahmyr Gibbs can't handle it. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the best running backs in football. Top 5 running back for sure in the game. But, yeah, it was kind of weird, kind of surprising to me. Maybe I don't pay enough attention to the Lions to know what their thought process is there. Kenny G did the lots of the subtle dirty work. He was a good blocker as well. Paid paradise and put up a parking lot. There it is, yeah. That song was originally, I know there's like 7 different people that sang that song, but yes, I do know. Interesting, JoJo doesn't take a dump at the beginning of the second period anymore, rebooting his poops. What? I don't even know what to make about that. I don't know if I'm a closet fan. I just quoted one of the songs. I mean, what was the singer that made it famous in the 90s? She was like a Christian contemporary singer. What's her name? Grant? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, that song reminds me of sitting in a waiting room. Yeah, exactly. Sitting in a doctor's or dentist waiting room while looking at those kids' books that were always in the waiting rooms. There are a lot of stories and games and puzzles in them. I forget. Lions are looking to draft a running back 2 to smooth out the cap. Okay. Amy Grant. That's right. That's who I first heard the song from, but a lot of people, Counting Crows, covered it as well. Look, I don't understand the Lions. The Lions have had some interesting moves already this offseason. There's a lot lot of cuts and stuff like that. So, yeah. Joe used to go to that locker room after the first break. Like, I didn't pay attention to his bathroom schedule, okay? People pay too much to mine, so I'm not paying attention to anybody else's. Big Yellow Taxi Squad. Hold on. I got to look this up real quick. Yeah, that's not what I was thinking of. But, yeah, gotcha. And Mr. Jones and Phil were GMs. What? I think Lions are looking at future cap and having to pay the quarterback soon. Jared Goff, I thought, was on a pretty big contract, but maybe his contract's up soon. And I don't even know if they'll, keep him long term. They probably should, but will they? I don't know. Jared Goff is not a free agent until after 2027, but that's why they're clearing cap. Jared Goff has 2 years left on his deal. This upcoming year, Jared Goff has a near $70 million cap hit. You think that Jalen Hurts' $30-ish million cap hit is bad. Jared Goff is going to count about $70 million against their cap. That's insane. Wow. And next year it's still 55. Wow. And if they cut him, it's still a $64 million dead cap hit. Damn, that's a bad cap hit. Embiid eats a lot of cheeseburgers. Got to have that bathroom. Yeah, exactly. Something like that. But yeah, okay, so maybe it makes a little bit more sense what the Lions did when you compare Jared Goff's cap hit to Jalen Hurts' cap hit this offseason. Like, I'm talking about a Jalen Hurts renegotiation to save money on the cap, right? Before anybody else's renegotiations come up, right? But, man, the Lions got some work to do. And I don't even know what do you even do? Jared Goff will be 32 this year. Man, that's a brutal choice, decision, and thing there for the Lions. But, I'm not really a Lions guy, so I guess it really doesn't affect me anyway. So, whatever. Anyway, where are we at here? Let's do a quick reset on the poll question. Which is more likely to happen? The Eagles trade away A.J. Brown or the Eagles trade for Maxx Crosby? A.J. Brown getting traded away is at 59%. Trade for Maxx Crosby is at 41%. I think that's a little bit closer than I actually expected, which is interesting. I really should have put the or both happen as a third option because I would have been curious to see how that played out in the voting because I do think there is a small 1% chance of that happening. That is a huge cap hit for a quarterback. It really is. For a quarterback at his level. Joe, notorious in-game shitter, Dwight Howard, notorious in-game fart, dude. Like, I don't, I respect and love the fact that you got so much random knowledge, but knowing players' flatulence and stomach issues and their schedules, it's just funny to me. The cap just went up 7%, so you have to stay ahead of the inflation curve with these massive contracts. You absolutely do. Absolutely. And the cap is 301.2. The Eagles right now $13.6 million per over the cap in space, K1. Again, the big one that you could save, it's like 8.8 or 8.7. We'll just say 9 for easy math. Michael Carter, who we got late last year to play the slot, never really played the slot. You cut him, you clear $9 million. Put you up to 22 and change, right? I don't think renegotiating Jalen Hurts saves you much this year, but it saves you a lot next year, which helps you in contract structuring this offseason, right? So there are your two big moves. A Jordan Davis extension saves you about $8 million in cap space. So now I just upped us from 22 to about 30. I think the Eagles can get, I've read in most circles, up to $35 million in cap space this offseason. But Howie's got to be thinking about these contract extensions or renegotiations now before next year, before the number goes up even more. That's why he's got to think about things like Moro Jomo and Nolan Smith and what their future is on this team. While the cap keeps going up, while the money keeps pouring in, Howie's success at drafting young players has really made this, as we said earlier in the show, probably his toughest offseason of his career. If you think A.J. Brown will be in Philly next year, a stupid idiot in Chris Jericho's voice. Gotcha. I don't think Sleepy Jalen would be as good on a mediocre team. Everything around him on the Eagles was perfect when they won the Super Bowl. All right, so here, this is great. It's like you're reading my notes. I've been saving this one for whatever opportunity I had here, okay? Basically, your statement is Jalen Hurts is only good because of the talent around him. You trade A.J. Brown. Does Jalen get a pass if he's just average? Like, seriously. Jalen Hurts is only good because he's got A.J. Let's take A.J. away, and he's not good. Now you're going to say he's not good because he doesn't have talent? What's going to be the excuse if you trade A.J. Brown away for Jalen Hurts? And let me double down on that. There have only been 4 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, okay, that have lost their first Super Bowl appearance and have gone on to win a Super Bowl. Len Dawson, Bob Greasy, John Elway, Jalen Hurts. The only 4 quarterbacks to lose their first appearance in the Super Bowl and then go and win it. So it don't look good for Drake May, just so you know, okay? Just some Jalen Hurts snippets there. To prevent tanking in the NBA, make the in-season tournament determine where teams draft in the lottery. Like the winner gets the first pick? I don't know. I think it was Gilbert Arenas outed Dwight Howard on his podcast. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look at the Vikings. Tons of money sunk into JJ and Jonathan Allen. 0 quarterbacks. Exactly. Look, and the Vikings quarterback situation goes directly back to my conversation earlier that this is the best offseason to have something like a Tanner McKee available, right? Because there's so many bad quarterback situations and not many even average quarterbacks available. Is Bryce Harper a bad guy? Latest report saying 7 years ago, Gene Secure, it was in 2022, not 7 years ago. There needs to be more context. We talked about this a little bit, Johnson, yesterday. There needs more context. Was it after a loss? Was it a team meeting? How loud was it really being? Courtesy, setting a tone in the locker room. There's got to be more context before I judge it. I don't think Bryce Harper's a bad guy, but I don't know him personally. TJ Hawkinson is a great option for the Eagles. They're going to cut Hawkinson sometime this week, the Vikings. And if you're not re-signing Dallas Goedert, if you're drafting a tight end, say, in the 2nd or 3rd round, a young draft pick, TJ Hawkinson, that's a great 1-2 punch at tight end. That Bob Villa, what about Bob Villa? And what's up? If they trade AJ and Jalen, make the Super Bowl, that will change your, if they trade AJ and Jalen makes the Super Bowl, will that change your mind, or will you find it? Well, don't use the word man. I got to put it there. You just lose all cred by saying that. I don't doubt Harp rubs certain personalities the wrong way, and we can say that about lots of people. I'm sure. There certain personalities. I get that. Can't say that he's a bad person, though. I need more context. Bob Vila was the host of, yeah, absolutely. It is the top of the hour. It's 9 a.m. Trending in the a.m. If you have not yet, hit the like button, the share button, subscribe button. There's 21 people watching. We are up to 20 vote or likes so far, but there are 25 votes on the poll. So if you have not hit the like button, please, I'd appreciate it. Share, subscribe. We are talking deal or no deal, okay? Are these deals going to happen or not, right? Will Howie, despite telling everybody it's going to be a quiet offseason, pull off a shocker and make a big deal? I think it's a question, right? I think it's a question. It doesn't even have to be Brown or Crosby. It could be anything, right? 7 years ago, Phil was caught drunk singing the Pina Colada song at a karaoke bar. I was never caught singing it. I was just doing it. Not 7 years ago. The worst was when I hosted karaoke on cruise ships, K1, and some weeks you would get great crowds on the cruise ship, right? Energy crowds, entertainment. Then there would be other weeks everyone would come to the lounge and no one would sing, so I had to sit there with a mic and sing for an hour. And I do not have You might be shocked by this, K1. I do not have the voice of an angel, like you probably think I do. So me having to sing karaoke for an hour, not necessarily good. Okay, we'll just say that. Gotcha. And who was the Eagles running back in Jalen Hurts' first Super Bowl game? Yeah, not Saquon Barkley. But I will stand by the raw milk being a factor in taking that dude down a notch. Oh man. Anyway, the conversations that go on in the chat. Yeah, I sang Sweet Caroline so many times. Like literally every time I hear that song come on, I want to stab myself. Like it's the worst song. Okay? That and Margaritaville. And you know I'm a Jimmy Buffett guy. But those two songs at karaoke, man, the absolute worst. Because you'd have 2 to 3 people sing it every time you do karaoke. Each song. So you'd hear Sweet Caroline and Margaritaville combined 5 times in a 2-hour stretch, right? And then the next day you'd hear it 5 more times. And then the next day 5 more times. I know karaoke 3-4 times a week. 2 hours at a time. About 20 times a week I would hear those two songs. Oh my God. Man, it was so bad. The All-Star game started. And look, the All-Star game, the home run derby tickets, Adam, insane already. I wanted to go to the All-Star game. Me and Kyle, the statistician from the chat, already talked about it. But man, you see those prices. Whew, that's a tough one. That's a tough pill to swallow. I can watch that home run derby on my TV, no problem. I can watch the All-Star game from my TV. I am not dropping a mortgage payment on All-Star festivities. Ba, ba, ba. Good times never seem. You could have stuck Ryan Leaf in the quarterback spot. No, you could not have. That is such a Jalen Hurts I just hate him kind of feeling. There's nothing true about that statement, okay? Nothing whatsoever. So good, so good, so good. I've been inclined. My Game 3 World Series ticket in a box was $500. Gotcha. For the World Series. Huh, interesting. I mean, that's pretty cheap, honestly. You ran the gamut of the songs that make white people lose their ish, surely living on a prayer. No. So I worked for Celebrity Cruises. Celebrity Cruises back in the early 2000s. Nowadays, they're more trendy and hipper and whatnot. But back then, Celebrity Cruises was all old people. The average cruise, except for during the summertime or spring break, the average age on our ship was like 60s, okay? So you had a lot of people that grew up in the 60s and 70s and a lot of Frank Sinatras, a lot of that kind of stuff. Used to do Name That Tune Frank Sinatra. I used to do, Frank Sinatra trivia regularly. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant. I knew a chick named Caroline. Did she live on Caroline Street? They have packages, but they're still, no. Can't be dropping that kind of money, Adam. I'm unemployed at this point. I got friends in low places. Friends in low places. Yeah, no. I don't even want to try that. Let's get off of karaoke. I don't need karaoke nightmares, okay, anymore. If only Sean Whitehead was in the chat today. Maybe he remembers the one karaoke story of me and him from our days. I never met a Caroline who wasn't a straight biatch. Well, there's a lady on Caroline Street stopping every man that she does meet. They're all crazy, right? There's a woman going crazy on Caroline Street. Anyway, back to it. Deal or no deal, right? It's not just A.J. Brown, Maxx Crosby. It's Tanner McKee. It's Nolan Smith. It's a lot. Keeping that close to the vest right now. I put a resume together, put my resume out there to a couple companies. We'll see what happens. Missing out on an opportunity with a content job 2 weeks ago made me say I better get a resume together. I got to look for content jobs and non-content jobs. We'll see what comes along. I ain't making money doing this, and I definitely can't keep DoorDashing. DoorDash and Uber Eats are in the bidding war. Yeah, no, I already do one of those. And while sometimes it's good, sometimes it absolutely sucks, K1. So I am so over dashing. I mean, I'll be doing it. I don't think I'll be doing it much this week, but in general, I've been doing it way too much, and it just absolutely sucks. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that being an accurate statement, for sure. All right, we're up to 20 likes on the video today. Not too bad, guys. Speaking of the Phillies, speaking of the All-Star game in Philly, 2 questions. 1, which Phillies player do you want to see represent the Phillies in the home run derby? Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber? You know one of them's going to be in the derby. It has to be in the derby, right? Which one do you prefer? And 2, do you like or dislike your Phillies players in the World Baseball Classic? The World Baseball Classic's been going on for, 20-some years now? We're in the 5th, 6th one already. I don't know if I like it or not, still. I enjoy it. I don't love it. I'm shocked it hasn't grown bigger. I'm also shocked it hasn't just completely folded apart. It's just kind of there, right? I think it's just as little presses like the Ryder Cup does. I don't love my Phillies players in the World Baseball Classic. I don't love the thought process. Remember a couple of years, the last one, Ranger Suarez got a little banged up and started slow that season. I want to see Bryce Harper in the home run derby, not Kyle Schwarber, and I don't like my players in the World Baseball Classic. So the ticket was a gift to a facilities manager where I used to work. He sold it to me for $500, but only had one ticket. My now wife said, "What kind of girlfriend would I be if I got mad at you for going?" It's good. That's a marry her statement right there. Absolutely agree. Yeah, I prefer to see Bryce Harper. I don't know why. The flair for the dramatic. Kyle Schwarber will hit bigger bombs, but I don't know. Bryce Harper still is the face of the team. I don't know. I'd have to see about that. I think it was the Wayne moving in storage box, the game Chooch won with a, you don't even remember which game it was. You prefer to see Schwarber in the home run derby. I think it's a tough call. I think it's interesting. Both huge home run hitters. I don't think the home run derby would hurt either of them, like in their, Bobby Abreu's season got ruined by it kind of scenario. Maybe Phil could do a pod dash where he will do a live show from people's living room. Yeah, I don't think that's happening, K1. I think that's a little, no, it's not happening. Plain and simple. There's just no room for that one to happen at all. I don't like whether it's Schwarber or Harper in the home run derby, both will be entertaining. Both will be fun. But I don't like my guys out there. I don't like seeing Bryce Harper before the season starts risking getting hurt. Kyle Schwarber risks getting hurt. Christopher Sanchez, who's going to be the ace for the Dominican Republic team. Don't like him out there throwing in high leverage situations in early March. I'm not sure what the rule changes are, to be honest with you. I want to like the World Baseball Classic, but I just don't. It's like the NBA's in-season tournament type. Feel when it's, I don't know. It's definitely more important and viewed globally better, Rick, than the in-season tournament. Because obviously this is not a knock on America at all. Not trying to make it political. But these players and these athletes love representing their countries, the Dominican, Japan, Korea, stuff like that. A lot of national pride on the line for them. There is for America too, but it just means a lot more to them. The NBA in-season tournament still has nothing, right? And I've wanted to like the World Baseball Classic since day one as well. And it's there. If I'm watching TV and nothing's on, I'll put a game on. I'll make sure to watch the championship game if Phillies are involved in it. But I just kind of it's like when the Ryder Cup comes on. I know some people love it. Some people, it's there. World Cup is on. Sure, 100%. If it wasn't a battle of prissiness and hair in the wind, Harper. I see. You really don't like Jalen Hurts or Bryce Harper there. I want to see Bryce win the Derby like he did in D.C. Yeah, that's kind of where my mind was going, Soldier Steve. Flair for the dramatic. He did win it there. You doing fantasy baseball this year? I haven't done a real money fantasy baseball league in a while. I do it with my nephew, and he does it. He sets it up with all his uncles and his dad and stuff. Yeah, I'll do that with him, but that's about it. I wonder how many Phillies will actually make The All-Star game, I mean, in theory, Schwarber and Harper would. Turner could. Sanchez could. Durant could. You can have 5. I mean, let's be honest. We are extremely down on this Phillies baseball team. But this is still a very talented Phillies baseball team. It's just, can they put it together and win the games when it matters most in Red October? That's all it really comes down to. So there will be Phillies in the All-Star game, multiple Phillies in the All-Star game, because there's a good team. Let's talk about how Wemby is going to destroy us tonight. I am scared how Wemby is going to destroy us tonight, Mitchie Boo. Even with Joel Embiid, we'd lose this game. But, man, Drummond can't keep up with Wemby. Bona's too small to stop Wemby. I don't know what you do with Wemby. I don't. You just gotta hope to keep him under 45 points tonight. Tonight, I mean, if I'm the Spurs, I'm arresting Wemby tonight. Don't need him to beat us tonight. I wonder if Wemby will be putting on the same act he did 2 years ago. I don't know. I know you don't watch NASCAR, but Michael Jordan won the first 3 races with his driver, Tyler Reddick. I don't watch NASCAR. I've heard something about that. It's where that graphic or video of Michael Jordan came from. I want your advice and tips on pizza. Can I email you? You absolutely can. I think somewhere on the YouTube channel homepage, my email address is there somewhere. Somewhere on that YouTube page, okay? When does Paul George come back? I think 10 games left in the season is what the 25 games went to. So 12 more games we got to miss Paul George. We got 22 games left. We're 60 games into the season right now. Everyone wants to highlight everything that can go wrong with the Phillies while not even thinking about everything that go right. I think it's great. And I think it's a very fair statement. Everything that can go right. I think it's a fantastic statement, elephant in the room. And there's plenty. Philadelphia championships tend to happen in the years we don't expect it to happen going into the season. Low expectations tend to bode well. So you're talking about the Phillies, or are you talking about the Sixers? Which team are you referencing this to more? Because I think it works and it fits without being too overly positive or blind positive like you were last offseason. This way of phrasing the statement works for the Phillies team. Yeah, look, I briefly worked at a bar in my early 20s. We used to have these 2 ranked guys that come in every week to watch NASCAR. So back then I used to watch it a little bit just to be able to talk to my customers. But honestly, I know nothing about it. Like, I know less about NASCAR than anything sports related. March 25th for Paul George. Yeah, 10 games left. If you remember the JoJo 70-point game, it was the same one where Drummond got unejected. I forgot about that. Like, again, Noom's mind, you're like a brilliant mind scientist, a guy. You remember the most random things. You remember people's flatulence schedules. You remember the most basic little minute details. And then the big things, too. It's crazy. 17 was definitely like that, but 83 was the we owe you one. Yeah, absolutely. And if it doesn't work, you can hit me up on Twitter or wherever else. Or Instagram, Beard of Knowledge, and DM me on those pages. For sure. We're coming up to the final 15 or so today. All right? We got Phillies on the thing. I love that elephant in the room comment. I really, really, truly do. That everyone's focused on the bad and the worries with the Phillies, and no one's focusing on what could go right. So what could go right for the Phillies this year? What could go right is Zach Wheeler returns to form. Luzardo and Sanchez continue to get better. Andrew Painter pitches like a Rookie of the Year candidate. Aaron Nola gets somewhat of his control back, and you have the best pitching staff in all of baseball. That's what can go right. You got Joan Duran for a full season. Instead of just half the season. Making the bullpen potentially better. That could go right. Bryce's stock could emerge. Otto Kemp could emerge. Justin Crawford could hit 280. There's a lot. Garcia, Adolis could hit 30 home runs. Bryce Harper could return to MVP form. All those things could go right for the Phillies. They could win 96, 97 games. And it still doesn't matter. It just determines whether they play well in October. Nooms is a super genius and invincible. Yeah, probably. I have that rare autobiographical memory condition. Is that what it is? Justin Crawford could hit 300. I think he's definitely within the realm of possibilities. And if that's the case, center field's set for the next 10 years if he proves to be that kind of a guy. So I love to think about what could go right. Nola's back in form. Wheeler's healthy and hasn't lost anything in speed control. I mean, just think about it. We're down, saying that the Phillies' rotation needs depth. But in theory, we could have an excess at starting pitching if all goes right. Now, again, it all comes down to October. I don't care if all goes right or wrong. No matter what, the Phillies are making the playoffs again, right? They're still going to win baseball games. It all comes down to red October. Can they get past the Dodgers or whoever else they face? Will their bats not choke? Will their pitchers not choke when the lights are the brightest? That's all it comes down to. I'm not even going to write down because I probably forget. Marilu Henner, 60 minutes, Australia memory. I don't even know what that means. I feel like if I type that in, you can get something popping up on my screen. You didn't get the Goldeneye reference. Where? Where was the Goldeneye? Oh, Invincible! I love that guy, too. Invincible! Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know if that's something that could go right for the... That would be the most shocking... Alec Boehm hitting 30 home runs and 120 RBIs to drive in would not be things going right. That would be the things going shocking that I would have to wonder if I'm in an alternate reality or something, Adam. The odds of that happening are like so slim. Yeah, no. Sorry. That's taking this topic of what could go right for the Phillies a little too far. Because that is very, very, very unrealistic right there. But hey, I guess never say never, right? Maybe. And I apologize, Doug. Missing a James Bond quote or reference. Man, so sad about that. We are at 60-40 on the poll question right now. 60% of you voted that the Eagles will trade A.J. Brown away. 40% of you voted the Eagles will trade for Maxx Crosby. It's about where I thought. I want to be like 55-45, closer to Maxx Crosby. I think if I put both will happen as an option, that would be probably around the 10 or 12%. But that's where we're at with the poll question. What's next? What's on tap the rest of this week? Obviously, tonight, Fairway to Heaven, live, 6 p.m., breaking down the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Yes, tomorrow we will probably talk a little Sixers Spurs and how ugly it looked, right? And what happens? You had to set it at 50. That's a tough one. If you set it like 44 and a half, I'd make that a little bit of an easier decision, right? But that's a tough one. I'm pulling up Victor Wembanyama's stat line right now. 23-7, 11-2. His last 5 games. I'll take the under. He hasn't scored 30 in his last 5 games. I'll take the under on that. Now, I think Wemby goes for about 44-15. 44 and 15 tonight. The main thing that needs to go right is in October, but we will be so focused on the Eagles by then, it won't care. Soldier Steve, you're not wrong. Not wrong at all by that. Don't ask me where I put my phone 10 minutes ago. Yes, that is true. I do not have any guests lined up this week, no. We're back to just regular me commenting on your 200 to 300 comments. Right, Adam? I'm back to the basics here this week, okay? Maybe next week. We'll see. We'll see about guests. You can never have too much pitching. I know. And I know me saying maybe we have a plethora of it. That's something that could go right is a very not fair thing to say because you never know when somebody's going to get hurt and stuff like that. Schwarber is the face of this organization 100%. He will have the most home runs. Yeah, probably. Probably. Most likely. Mitchie Poo, do you want to be a guest? Do you want to sit opposite of me one morning? We'll make that happen later this week. Maybe Thursday or Friday, we'll make that happen. We'll see. We'll see. But Schwarber, the face of the organization, in theory, I think to Phillies fans, maybe he is the face of the organization. But broad picture to casual fans, to national audiences, Bryce Harper is still the face of the Phillies. Bryce Harper is the face that runs the place. He might not be the champ, but he's still the guy that the title, he doesn't need the title to succeed. To make a wrestling reference there. I don't know if that made sense, but that's the way I look at it. I would expect Nola to be better this year. I absolutely expect some positive regression for Aaron Nola this year. Absolutely. I think Aaron Nola will be, maybe he won't be 3.5 ERA Aaron Nola anymore, but Aaron Nola will be good this year. He'll have, at worst, a 4.2, 4.4 ERA. Maybe he creeps into low 4.41, 4.1, 3.9, somewhere in that range. But I expect a much better Aaron Nola. His first outing in the mound, he already had about a half a mile an hour higher than last year. His first outing was a half a mile faster than his best outing last year, if that makes sense. You should try and get Lenny. Yeah, never. If Wemby scores 69 points tonight, I get to be a guest. You can be a guest even without that. You just got to be willing to wake up to come on here. I am hoping he learned his fitness lesson. Which one? I've never seen a James Bond movie. Well, you haven't lived. You're just not, you haven't been alive. Me and you, Rick, I mean, 20, you got to sit down and do like a 6-week marathon to cover them all. I don't think the Phillies have the bullpen issues they had last season, which is a plus. I don't know if I don't know if I have the same opinion as others on the Phillies bullpen. I agree that having Joan Durant for a full season makes us better. We're not going to have to deal with Corky Romano closing games early in the season, right? I get that. Not sure if Jose Alvarado will return to his steroid form of the beginning of last year. Brad Keller, yeah, some people say he's an upgrade. I don't know. You've lost Matt Strahm. We don't know what to expect of Kirk Green, and Kirk Green's hurt to start camp. I think the bullpen is better, but minimally. They got a lot to prove. Taijuan Walker will be good again this year. Absolutely. I hope so. Neat for the 2018 Nola to show up for at least half the year. Yeah, I mean, that's what I don't expect that level. That was when he finished, what, 4th in Cy Young voting that year? The 4th that year? I know he lost to DeGrom and somebody else, I believe. Or maybe he beat it. Maybe he finished 3rd that year. Anyway, but if he got even close to that, that'd be great. Who hurt you? No 007 in your life is like ignoring IPA to drink a. Exactly. You're limiting your life by not watching James Bond movies. You got to get on that. I know, exactly. They aren't all masterpieces. They're not. You get the early ones, you got to not just suspend disbelief in all of them, but you kind of got to understand the time frame and the eras that certain movies were made. Right? Like you do. You just can't go in cold. We did watch a really good movie last night, the wife and I, instead of the Flyers game or whatever was on last night. We watched Sinners on HBO Max last night. Michael B. Jordan, fantastic cast. Horror movie, but a different kind of horror movie. Sinners was a phenomenal movie. I don't do horror movies. I don't like them. I find them boring. But the way they went about that one, so I can understand the buzz Oh, wow. No, I know, exactly. It's crazy to say you've never seen one. Since I was a big fan of James Bond movies, I just never had that much interest. So my James Bond interest started. One of my next tattoos is going to be a James Bond tattoo, actually. My first James Bond, I remember sneaking. I used to always sneak down and watch what my dad was watching. I'd hide behind the couch. Turns out years later, he knew all along I was hiding watching. But I watched From Russia with Love, which I believe is the third Bond movie that Sean Connery did. That was the first one. I was hooked instantly. From when GoldenEye came out in 95 or 96 till now, I've never missed a James Bond opening weekend. I've only missed opening night out of the last 9 Bond movies once. I love it. I don't go to movie theaters. I've been to more James Bond movies than I've taken my wife to movies. I just don't like movie theaters. Sinners is an exceptional movie. I hate horror movies, but the whole thing was just, it was just perfectly put together. Perfect. I enjoyed it so much. And I just get bored in horror movies, but there was no boringness to that movie whatsoever to me. Skyfall is the best James Bond movie. That is an incorrect statement, Mitchie Poo. That is massively incorrect. Casino Royale with Daniel Craig. Skyfall is not even Daniel Craig's best movie. Casino Royale is. To me, it's Casino Royale. Number 2 would be Goldfinger. Number 3 would be Skyfall. Number 4, Live and Let Die. Number 5, GoldenEye. They're my top 5. May I recommend the Bond in silhouette with the gun riffling? Yeah. Yeah. Simple and elegant. No. So what it's actually going to be from the opening scene of was it I think it was the opening scene of Spectre, the 4th in the was that or Skyfall? Maybe it was Skyfall. It was the opening scene, I think, of Spectre when he's running through the streets and the Day of the Dead's going on. And behind James Bond, there's this picture of this skull with the big top hat. It's like a balloon in the parade, smoking a big fat stogie. I'm going to get that with 007 in it. I love skull, and I love the top hat cigar thing, and then I love the Bond part. So, yeah. Skyfall's top 5, yeah, but a little overrated, yeah. Yeah. I lost interest in Stranger Things because they took too long to come out in between seasons. So we didn't even watch the last season. I didn't feel like trying to catch up on it. No desire to figure it out. We were into the first couple seasons and it just dragged on too long. It stretched out over way too long a period of time. So I'm not a Stranger Things. Not a Stranger's Things guy. But Sinners was so well done last night. So well done. All right. Anyway, we got to wrap this up. I got a big day, busy day today. So everybody be back tonight, 6 p.m., Fairway to Heaven. Don't miss it. It absolutely was. It absolutely was. So you know what skull I'm talking about. And that's what I'm getting right here. That's what I'm going to get. And I'm going to have them put a little 007 in there. I used to rent From Russia with Love. Does that From Russia with Love? No, that does not. Go Birds and Bubbles Up. Absolutely, guys. Everybody have a great Tuesday. Be well. Thank you very much, Adam. We'll be back tomorrow. More Eagles topics, more Phillies topics, some Sixers talk. But for now, go Birds. Oh, what's this? I would have been. They didn't end it. It just left it open. Yeah, exactly. I don't care. I'm over it. Anyway, everybody have a great day. We'll talk tonight, Fairway to Heaven, 6 p.m. or tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. for Trending in the AM. Guys, go Birds and Bubbles Up.